I am begging you to stop talking about divorce in your marriage, not the real conversation. If you're genuinely at the end of your rope, we need to talk about that, and I'll get to that in a minute. I mean the way that most married couples actually use the word day to day, as a threat, as a joke, as a casual comment on a random Tuesday, as a way to vent when you don't know what else to say. Because here's what I see constantly in my office. Married couples come in wanting to reconnect, wanting to communicate better, wanting to stop fighting, feel close again, rebuild trust. And then somewhere in the middle of all of that, someone says, maybe we should just get a divorce. Or if you keep doing that, I'm just going to have to leave. Or they joke with their friends and they'll say, oh my word, if my wife knew that I was doing that, she would divorce me. And every single time I think the same thing to myself. Wait, what direction are we actually trying to go here? Because you cannot build connection and threaten to leave in the same breath. It's like driving west on the highway while throwing the car into reverse every few miles just for the heck of it. Eventually, you'll have to ask why you're not getting anywhere. And one of the biggest problems is that your spouse actually stops knowing what you mean. Think about it from their perspective, right? Every time the D word gets dropped, they have to figure out, is this for real this time? Should I be scared? Should I be calling the lawyer? Or is this just frustration coming out sideways? A bad day, and we all have one, right? Or an argument, nothing more. Instead of creating clarity, you are creating confusion, and clarity always wins. Confusion, on the other hand, always creates distance, because eventually your spouse gets tired of trying to decode what you mean every time the word divorce comes up. And then something else starts happening on top of that. You begin teaching your spouse not to take you seriously. I know that's not what you're trying to do, but I've seen it over and over again. Year one, maybe we've made a mistake, we should get a divorce. And then your spouse panics. This is the first time that we're hearing of such a thing. They get scared, they react. But then life happens, the conversation kind of fades, nothing changes, nobody follows through. In year four, maybe we should get a divorce now. Right now, your spouse just is like sighing, right? Rolling their eyes maybe. If it happens in year seven, and you say, maybe we should get a divorce, now your spouse barely reacts at all. Maybe they change the subject, maybe they just walk away. Why? Because they've learned something. They've learned that nothing follows that comment. They've learned that the word divorce shows up, everybody gets emotional, and then eventually life just goes back to normal. So over time, they stop believing you. Not because they're cruel, not because they don't care, but because you've trained them to do that. The evidence you've given them says this isn't something that they need to take seriously. And here's the tragedy. The day that you actually are serious, they may not recognize the difference because you've spent years teaching them that there isn't one. That's a consequence that most couples never actually think about. But here's the thing. I don't actually think most couples mean divorce when they say divorce. I think what they're really trying to say is, man, this hurts, or I am just so miserable, or I'm exhausted, right? I don't know how to fix this, or I don't feel heard by you. I don't think I matter to you. I am truly at my wit's end. And those are very different statements. Divorce is often not the feeling, it's the label that we slap onto the feeling when we don't know how to describe what's actually happening between us. When you learn to name the real feeling instead of reaching for the biggest word in the room, now we're finally having a conversation that can actually help your marriage move forward. Because your spouse, believe it or not, they can respond to, I'm hurt, or they can respond to, I am feeling really lonely. Your spouse can respond to, I'm scared, I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this. All of those things, those are real conversations. Those are honest conversations. They are productive conversations. So if what you really mean is divorce, if you're truly at the end of your rope, then let's talk about that. Let's talk about why. Let's talk about what's broken, what you've tried, how you got there, and whether you're actually done. That conversation deserves to be talked about openly and honestly, not as a threat tossed out mid-argument. But if it's not that, if underneath the word divorce is just hurt or exhaustion or fear, say the real thing instead. That's what actually moves your marriage forward. You gotta pick a direction. If we're working on the marriage, then let's work on the marriage and throw the word and the concept of divorce out the window. If we're discussing divorce, let's discuss that. But stop using the word divorce when what you really mean is, we need to figure this out because I don't want divorce to become part of our story. Now, the smarty pants that work for YouTube think this is the video that you should watch next. And they seem to know what they're doing and I trust them. So just go watch it and I'll see you in there.